Hello and welcome to the shop. Today my weaponry is primarily going to be a 3/8 inch spindle gouge and a set of vernier calipers. I'm making gauges for pierced ear, stretched ear, but what I'm doing is making a disc that is far larger than the 9/16 inch gauge that the customer wears. So what I'm doing is creating the illusion of a much larger stretched ear, but in reality it's only 9/16 inch. Very important that you have accurate measurements when you do body jewelry like this, like gauges for pierced and stretched ears. This is actually a vernier caliper that piercers use, and it is plastic, obviously. But the one nice thing about it is this is a great caliper. This is an excellent piece of equipment right here. And since I am turning to 9/16, I do have an accurate measurement. But many pierced people and many body piercers use metric measurements. This doesn't have metric on it, but this has both. So if I need to make a comparison between metric, millimeters, and standard measurements, I have a piercer's caliper from a piercer in order to compare. 9/16, like I said, easy. That's pretty standard. You're not going to have trouble getting to it. And one thing I want to mention is that for this I'm using African Blackwood. If you use anything less dense than African Blackwood, some of the denser, more oily woods, you want to finish it safely. And I couldn't recommend Parfix 3408 more for getting a non-porous, a completely sealed finish on the wood for applications in body jewelry. 3408 works really, really well. Currently I've done several tapers and a couple of gauges in porous woods, maple and tiger wood, and I used between 8 and 10 coats of 3408. Gives me a glassy finish that is completely sealed, non-porous, which for the safety of the user is what you want, is a non-porous surface. So this is going to be pretty intricate. This is going to be small work. It's going to be a lot of detail work. Stick around and we'll see how they turn out. All right, so I have a nice mildly domed surface. It's just a little bit convex, which is what I want. And I am going to decorate this. I'm going to use my point tool, my shop-made point tool. It's just a old, it's an old bowl gouge that I sharpened all the way to oblivion. So I just took it to the grinder and made facets on it. Most guys do 3 points. I did 4. I don't know why, or 4 sides. I did 4. That a lot of guys do 3. I don't know why. But this is a great tool for introducing channels in a face like this for decoration. It's also really good for beads. It works really well to make beads. We're not doing that. We're just going to open. There we go. So all I wanted to do was delineate some space. And I think I'll use my spiraling tool as well. So I think I'm going to dimple this outer circle and spiral the inner. So I've created divisions, a place where the spiraling tool can start and stop as well. It's not really a spiraling tool. This is a machinist's knurling tool, but it works really well, especially on harder woods like Blackwood. Look at that. That looks really, really good. I'm going to leave it just like that. Now we're going to break out the Dremel, and we're going to put some texture in there. Already got a small round-headed burr on my Dremel. Wherever I set my Dremel, because I just did this the other day with another piece. Yeah, there we go. So I've got a small burr on my Dremel, and I am going to do some stippling. I had an idea. Unfortunately, I don't have what I need to pursue this idea, but in the future, when I do some of this type of jewelry, I'm going to get some gold leaf. I've been using wax. I've been using gilding wax, and I will use a little gilding wax on this. But I think that gold leaf would make for very interesting patterns as well, or coloration as well. It's okay if I break those edges. I have to remember what the best angle was when I did this. There we go. I really like how that stipple pattern comes out on Blackwood. All right, so I'm going to hit it with the point tool again just to redelineate those lines, make them sharp. Set this over here out of the way. I'll be using it again here in a few moments for the second earring. There we go. Now I'm going to sand this very lightly at 400. I don't want to remove any of my texturing. I just want to make sure I don't have any sharp edges. So I will sand in both directions, just knocking off the high points, the sharp points. This is an incredibly dense wood, very, very strong. It's also it's so dense it doesn't absorb moisture, so it can be effectively used for body jewelry because it's not porous. All right, I'm going to take my skew and just level this off. Then I'm going to use the abrasive paste on that face, and that face is going to be done. And we need to make sure that this is exactly the same diameter all the way down. There we go. I've got nice parallel sides. I just aimed off of the bed of the lathe there, get my shape. So what I'm going to do now is use Brad's Workbench abrasive paste. This is food safe. It is a friable abrasive, and I'm going to take it from 400 grit to glossy. And then I'm going to put some gilding wax on, I think, just the stippled portion of this. So Brad's Workbench works really, really easily. You work it in. Yes, that was just rubbing alcohol just to clean the 400 grit sanding product off. On less dense woods, it will raise the grain. It will not raise the grain on Blackwood. Blackwood, the grain does not raise. This wood is too dense. All right, so you use the abrasive paste. Just keep working it. Find a clean section of paper towel. Work it again, and you just keep doing this until it comes away clean. At that point, it's no longer removing material. It's done its job. This is a friable abrasive, which means as it does its job, it breaks down and becomes finer and finer itself. Paper towel comes away clean. The work of the abrasive is done. I'm pretty happy with that. So we're going to break out the gilding wax. I get this product at Hobby Lobby. And this one's silver. No, I got this one at Michael's. Anyway, yeah, at craft stores, they have it. This one is silver. I've used rose gold in the past. My rose gold got hard and unusable. They have multiple different colors or shades or whatever you want to call it. What I like about this is once it's in there, it's in there. That's also what I don't like about it. You get it in there and you don't want it there, you have to sand it out. Well, the reason I use a glove is not because it's toxic. It is non-toxic. It's because it doesn't come off. And I don't like walking around with silver fingers. I'm going to do that. Then I am going to take a Scotch-Brite Quad Zero pad and see if that might remove the top surface. It might not, and I might have to sand with 800 to get the high points cleared off. But I'm going to try the Scotch-Brite pad because I haven't tried that before. I know a paper towel won't do it. So let's see if the Scotch-Brite will. Look at that. Cool, we get a little more in there. Screw it, I'll have silver fingers. Scotch-Brite worked, I'm happy to see that. New tool in my arsenal. Again, we're going to just hit I want to get it in the low spots and leave the high spots clean. So most people use water to raise the grain. Hey, Brad, what's up, brother? Most people use water to raise the grain. I use alcohol because it dries 10 times faster than water. Oh, yeah. All right, I'm going to do that the opposite direction as well for the same reason. We'll get the high points on both sides of the stipple. And try and I've got it on my got it in my spirals. I don't really want it there, but I don't know if I'm going to get it out. Yeah, it's coming. There we go. This stuff is great. It's cheap too. I think so, $3 or $4 a little jar. But like my old jar I had for 2 years, it was solid. They have different colors. I just decided to try silver this time. I had rose gold before, which is really, really, really pretty. Okay. But this stuff is really permanent. Like once it hardens, yeah, it's a pain once it's hardened. Which is why I don't usually use it with bare hands, because my fingers end up silver. I'm going to call that good. Okay, so now what I need to do is flatten the back of this, turn it down to 9/16 of an inch, and then part it off so that it's actually a wearable piece of jewelry. And I'm going to have to reposition my camera. All right, let's take a measurement here. And we are about a 1/16 over. So I'm just going to start and stop, start and stop. I've got to work down to precisely 9/16. Okay, Rob, it's good. I'm going to get fast. Now I'm starting to shake. Let's notice a little flange a little bit. We can still have some in here. So that I have something to stay in up here. So I have to be a little wide on the outside edge. That flange is generally about a millimeter, maybe a millimeter and a half. All right, you're right there. Smoothing fishing cuts will be at 9/16 inch. Let's sand rest that, just like I would shoot. And because I'm moving a little bit here and there, start frequent. You want to try this? Joy. So no okay. Just across the table. Let's have Of note, I am sanding, I am removing material. That is a friction process. It gets hot, be careful. I just burned myself. All right, so that's 600. I'm going to clean it again, sand it at 800, and then I'm going to contradict myself. I'm going to use the abrasive paste. I am not going to sand the 800 grit away because Brad's Workbench abrasive paste or sanding paste is friable. It gets finer the more you work it. So it will incorporate that 800 grit sanding dust, sawdust, break it down, and use it to continue to sand finer. So let that alcohol dry. See, alcohol dries so much faster than water. If I was using water to raise the grain every time, or to clean it every time, I'd be sitting here for half an hour between applications. Ain't nobody got time for that. Now, if I was sanding 6 cutting boards, then water's okay. Because by the time I get the 6th one wet down, the first one's dry enough that I can start sanding. All right, so that's 800 grit, and we're going to the Brad's Workbench sanding paste. And the results on Blackwood from Brad's Workbench are phenomenal. All right, so we work that paste in at a low speed. This generates heat too, watch your fingers. We're going to find a cleaner piece of the paper towel, kick up the speed a little bit. Probably use 2 chunks of paper towel this time. I got a little sloshed over here, so I'll make sure I get that cleaned away. All right, that paper towel is coming away clean. That means the abrasive has done its work. It's gone. It's not going to take any more off. I could probably put another application of abrasive on there, but there's no need. This is smooth as glass. You hear that? That's like when your plastic is clean, when you're washing dishes. That's how fine that is. So I'm going to I have this little domed shape here. I'm going to emulate that coming up towards where I'm going to part it, and then I'm going to break a seminal rule. I shouldn't use a parting tool for this, but I'm going to use a parting tool for this. I should come way back here with my gouge and slice it off. The problem is I need this so that I can make a second one. So I'm going to break the rule. And I'm going to use my parting tool so that I can preserve as much of this as possible. African Blackwood is very expensive. This is a $35 block here. So I try to stretch it as far as I can, and I'll even use what's left for inserts for the lids of lidded boxes and things. I try to be as miserly as possible with this stuff. Okay, we're going to come in with my narrow gauge parting tool. I'm going to rock the tool back and forth so that it keeps the cut wide enough that it doesn't bind the tool. I do not want that tool binding. And I have that little sharp edge. I will soften this. I will hand sand, but I'm going to take a little bit of it off of the lathe too. And I'm about to block both cameras. And launch that across the floor. So there you have the first of two. That is a 2-inch, but it's really only a 9/16 inch gauge. That goes in the ear. So I'll sand all of this off and clean that up. And let's make the second one. Okay, folks, there you have them. That is a pair of gauges that are actually 9/16, but they look like they're 2 inches big. You turn them over and you see they're 9/16. That'll fit the customer's ears. Very, very fine detail work. Kind of a challenge, a lot of fun. African Blackwood makes great jewelry. And remember, just one more pass means put the bowl gouge down.